Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Chevron 1, encoded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry havoc, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2, encoded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
Song reflexes.
I'll also say that you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3, encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4, encoded.
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5, encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6, encoded.
Now, come on, you can, monk boy.
Great Scott. Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass! I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
All right, so it's ending here. The intro's ending, and I realize I've gone semi-catatonic and just staring off into space. And I hear it, and I realize, hey, snap out of it. You're gonna be like this otherwise. If you don't pay attention to it ending, so it's like wake up because it's Saturday Night Drive-In, where Jed and I sit down, talk movies, and we hope you enjoy what we have to say. And I try to make the intros interesting, and then I toss to Jed and I say, "Hi, Jed." I got the right direction. Look at that.
You did pick the
Threw it
right
right
direction.
way. Wow. I'm on a roll.
Yeah, you do a great job at showing everybody who watches us that this is not a professional operation within the first 5 seconds of every
come
stream.
on. All
You're
right.
just top tier talent when it comes to that. Just raise the flag and say, hey, we're just a bunch of idiots with webcams in our spare bedrooms. Go fuck yourselves. You're very effective at that style. But it is fantastic to be here. This week has been a great one for me. I finally went to go see Weapons in the movie theater, and I actually loved it. I really enjoyed it. It was very creepy, and the resolution, it was a horror movie, but I laughed out loud for the entire culmination of everything at the end of the film. I really enjoyed it. There were things I would fix, obviously, but it was a breath of fresh air. And then at the same time, I'm reading the brand new Witcher book, having a great time with that, and Star Trek. And then I decided to watch this movie for Saturday Night Drive-In, and let's just say it's a standout for my week. It doesn't fit in with the other things I was enjoying entertainment-wise.
Here's the thing. There have been a lot of adaptations of Dracula over the decades, and some are classics and some listen, I don't hate this movie. I actually like it in certain ways, yet there's always something off about it. It's one of the more famous ones, but it also has a couple fatal flaws in it that I was aware of, but then I was talking to our good buddy Samuel the Infamous about this a few days ago, and Dracula's not a romance. It's not.
No.
It's
a monster movie.
It's not a romance. It's about a monster who wants to dominate this woman and take her away from her fiance, then husband.
Well, a lot of modern women would see that as romantic, unfortunately.
Yeah, but it's not a romance, and that is, well, I consider this a decent to good movie mainly because of the cast. This has a really good cast in it. Sir Gary Oldman, Sir Anthony Hopkins, Keanu, despite his horrible attempt at a British accent, that's kind of one of the iconic things of this movie. Winona Ryder at her peak hotness, and then Carrie Elways just kind of slipped in there as well, and a few other guys who beneath their facial hair and costume you would recognize here and there. Great cast, but there's just always something about this movie that I say makes it to me not a definitive Dracula, even though according to Sam, out of a lot of the things, it is quite accurate to the book in a lot of ways with the way they follow the journal entries and the moments and this and that. Although the romance thing, as Sam said to me, that is not a thing. That is not a part of it. And that, in my opinion, drags down the movies and drags down many of the characters, because you're not supposed to sympathize with Dracula. You're not. He is a Lord of Darkness. He's a monster who terrorized Europe in the mythology for hundreds of years. Hunted by the
stab across and get sad.
Yeah, hunted by the Van Helsings for centuries until Abraham finally, zeroes in on it, and with the help of Harkness and his merry band, get a chance to finally end the nightmare. So it's a unique movie. I would say it in 1992. This is where one starts to realize that Francis Ford Coppola has kind of lost it a little bit. He couldn't quite have the touch anymore of cinematic greatness. And listen, all the greats do. How often recently we talk about how Ridley Scott just walk away, old man, walk away.
Ridley Scott and Steven Spielberg, the decline is sad, to be honest. Now this will shock and horrify you, but the first two Francis Ford Coppola movies I've ever seen were Megapolis, which just came out, and Dracula. So I'm not starting out with the best.
And here's the problem: you have no interest in The Godfather. That's the problem. That the Godfather trilogy is his greatest stuff. That's his best work. See, a lot of people want to shit on Godfather 3. I like Godfather 3. I think it's a fine cap to it. But Godfather 1, I think Godfather 1 is better than Godfather 2. Some people think Godfather 2 is better than Godfather 1. That's a debate for another time. Point is, those are true works of cinematic art, from the cinematography to the acting, the direction, everything about that, the performances, the music, the hauntingness of it. A good man gets pulled into his family's nightmare and he can't escape but keep pulling back in. But that's one day, maybe we'll do Godfather one day. I know.
I'd absolutely be down for the discussion. I know I've said famously that I'm not really into mob movies, but that's a movie that everyone has to see at some point. Yeah, I'm absolutely down to watch it.
Yeah. But Tony, after that, Coppola kind of loses. I mean, he loses it as into the 80s, into the 90s, didn't have it anymore. And Megalopolis, I haven't wasted my time with that one.
So bad. He did Apocalypse Now as well, didn't he?
Did he? He probably did. That's how he worked with. That's how he worked with. God, I just forgot his name. Who played Vito Corleone? Marlon Brando. That's how he worked with He worked with Marlon Brando first on that, and then on Godfather. So Coppola, a historically outstanding director, but just another example of eventually stop, because the production value of this movie, there's a lot wrong in it. The scenes, this and that, the way it's shot, it feels weird at times. A lot of close up or clearly shot on stages in moments where it's really obvious and there's no magic to it.
Even the exterior shots clearly look like they're a set a lot of the times. Like the big climactic moment of the film where they're chasing down the carriage.
And it's a good scene, but it's
clearly a set.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's a really the tension is there and you feel it, and the music is you're all wrapped up in it, but it's clearly a set. And they are not shooting on any location whatsoever. So there's a distinct lack of. That's the uncanny valley of the olden times, where you could feel the set, not see that.
It doesn't feel like a 90s movie. In a lot of the ways, it feels like a 60s movie. Just in the level of technology, the set design, and like the prosthetics are really good. The Dracula, there's a bunch of different versions.
Are outstanding for the practical effects on them. They're great. I mean, Gary Oldman, man, he let them do all kinds of things to him.
There's a lot of different looks.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's I mean, we don't really need to recap the story. It's Dracula. A man gets involved with a um basically a land purchase, and he ends up over there. He gets involved with Dracula, but in this one, Dracula is looking for the reincarnated soul of his lost love.
Which I don't believe this movie was the first one to do stuff like this, but yeah, it's not in the book. I haven't read it, but my wife has. So when we were watching the movie last night, she was pointing out, hey, that's from the book, that's not from the book. And that whole romance arc bothered her a lot. She loves the book.
It bothers a lot of people. It bothers me. And I'm the one that and said, let's do this movie this week, knowing that it bothers me because it's cringe and it's disgusting, but not. How do I use the word disgusting properly? There's something unappealing about it. This romance. With the way Mina, played by Winona Ryder, who's the only one that doesn't get naked in this movie.
I know.
Although in that scene where she gives into him, there's some really good see-through in her nightgown. Some really good see-through. You see everything. You see it.
Oh yeah. I was paying attention. I noticed the see-through, and she kissed the other girl.
Yeah, and you realize that Winona, that's why I said this is like peak hot Winona Ryder. This is her peak hotness. So she was fit, but she's the only one that doesn't get naked. But everybody else did. And of course, Brides of Dracula, the beautiful, venerable Italian actress Monica Bellucci, who played Persephone in the Matrix movies. So she and Keanu had an encounter long before they got into the Matrix together. Beautiful Monica Bellucci, who has no problem getting naked in her movies. No problem whatsoever. All the time. It's glorious. Beautiful woman. So a lot of naked, a lot of blood, a lot of gore, which is expected because this is a vampire movie. But I feel like in this movie, they took it to the excess almost. A little too much blood at times. A little too much gore. And it was borderline. It didn't ruin it, but I feel like it's just borderline of we're almost crossing too far into slapstick horror with some of this stuff. Although one of my favorite moments is when they're in Transylvania and Van Helsing, played by the great Sir Anthony Hopkins, when he goes in and butchers the Brides of Dracula. I love that moment. I do. And he just walks out, throws the heads.
That's pretty badass, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, he's a vampire hunter. Oh, that's one of my problems with this. They don't play up the Van Helsing vampire hunting enough.
In the book, it was like that as well. He was more a physician, a metaphysical physician. So they got that aspect of it right, where he's more a scholar than a soldier. Like the version that you see in the Hugh Jackman movie.
No. That movie's a disaster. That movie's a fucking disaster on wheels. But it's still fun to look at.
Oh yeah, that's a fun movie. I would agree with that. But I do have to confess here, I don't care about vampires just in general. They're not monsters that appeal to me at all. Even Supernatural, which I love way more than it deserves. I don't care about the vampire episodes. I don't care about their design, their stuff. I'm way more interested in stuff like a werewolf or something like that than vampires. So this isn't a film that I would seek out on my own. Dracula, of course, is mainly the original books and the old black and white movies. I have to respect a lot because of how they define the genre, but it's never going to be vampires are never going to be stories that I seek out. So I do have a bias against vampires. I have to admit.
Okay. I personally don't really give much about vampires. The most interesting I ever was in vampires is the franchise. Oh shit, what's it called? I just had and I lost it. Too many thoughts running through the brain. With the different clans. It's gonna have the game coming out right now. It had a TV show, Vampire the Masquerade. I like that one because it's got kind of house politics, different houses, different vampire clans all plotting against each other, and it's got different types of vampires in it, and they all behave differently. I like Vampire the Masquerade. There was a good show in the 90s. The games are good. There's a new game coming out, which had some controversy recently, where they were gating some content, but the fans said, "What the hell are you doing?" And the developers quickly backpedaled and made it all accessible at launch when it goes live. So I'm actually considering checking that game out now that they bent the knee to the fans, which is Shows me they give a damn. Point is, I don't have a big thing for vampires either. Personally, my favorite idea of Dracula is Castlevania Dracula. That's the Dracula I enjoy the most. That the lore involved with Castlevania. So I like Castlevania, but like you, I don't have a hard on for vampires. I don't have a hard on for most monsters in general. I prefer, being a fantasy guy myself, I prefer high fantasy monsters and stuff like that. That is more interesting to me. And I mean, occasionally I'll rope in a vampire here and there, but I tried that once. Tried roping a vampire lord something, and it just didn't work. Didn't feel right. I kind of felt like I did it just because it was in the moment and the thing to do, and it didn't really work. Vampires are too easy to use is the problem.
You got to go a unique route with them to make them interesting to me. Like the Witcher lore, I don't know if you remember from the games, there's a ton of different types of vampires, lesser vampires like Bruxa, higher vampires like Regis, and just the politics with that, like you were mentioning with Masquerade, the different types, the different powers, and none of them are just generic, oh, I'm gonna suck your blood. None of them are cliche. So I enjoy the vampires of The Witcher, and like you said, that's more higher fantasy realm. But
and it says vampires are essentially have kind of been ruined by two things. One, the very giant pink sparkly elephant in the room. We know that whether I just forgot his, I can't remember names today. I think I'm losing my mind.
Are you talking about Robert Pattinson?
Yeah, sparkly vampires. What the hell is that called?
Twilight.
Thank you.
Yes, Twilight just butchered any interest in vampires. They made them sexy, and I'm not a fan of that. Vampires, like you said with Dracula, should not be sexy. They should not be misunderstood. They are monsters, horrifying. And if you do a transitional story showing that dark transition from a normal person to a vampire, that's interesting. But once the transformation is complete, they're just monsters. And that's why the new Nosferatu movie I see as so much better than this one, because Count Orlok, which is Dracula, is unequivocally a monster. There is no sympathizing with him. He is a terrifying force that you just can't understand. And from my wife's account, it's actually more accurate for the most part to the Dracula book than this movie is. The ending is obviously different. The way that they defeat Orlok at the end is quite different. But besides that, it follows it much more closely than this one does. Because this one decides to do an origin story, and I fucking hate the origin story.
We know that
armor with.
We know that Vlad the Impaler, the historical connection to Dracula, Vlad Tepes, he existed. Vlad the Impaler existed. He was an actual Romanian warrior that maybe became Count Dracula. But it kind of ends there. There's no epic romance. But to finish my other point before we go back to the movie. And this is a relevant tangent. We're talking about vampiric history in fiction here and current day stuff. The other ones ruined it. Anne Rice and her freaking vampires. That shit ruined it too. Anne Rice and her whole vampire stories. That kind of
I'm not familiar with her stuff.
Oh, well, she was in the big in that. She's dead now. She wrote the vampire story. You know, Lestat. You've heard of Lestat, right? Oh, the vampire. Oh, okay, Lestat. Maybe. Well, see, I don't want to do Interview with a Vampire because I don't like that.
Okay, it's I'm not familiar with the Interview.
That's Interview Vampire. The movie. It's not a good adaptation of her book. And then the bastardized DEI TV show that's currently running on AMC. It's Lestat is an interesting character, but the way she did vampires in general kind of screwed up a lot of stuff. They made it very gay, literally very gay. So vampires, and then between Anne Rice and Twilight, you got shit like Vampire Diaries and all that kind of stuff, and it moved far away from what vampires are. Goddamn monsters that that terrorize people.
God, Buffy did a better job at handling that.
Monsters. I mean, there were better stories with vampires than that. I mean, granted, vampire lore in that one's very dumb. It's Joss Whedon crap, but it's still enjoyable. And only time you have any sort of sympathy for a vampire is once they get a soul, like Angel did, and then when eventually Spike battled to get his soul back. That's good stuff. But other than that, they have no soul. They're monsters. They're evil. And the fatal flaw of this movie, back to the movie, is that they want you to sympathize with Gary Oldman's Dracula. That he got screwed over by his enemies in life, and then for no reason whatsoever turns on God.
That scene is terrible. And for some reason, Anthony Hopkins is the priest in that scene.
Double roll in that, double roll.
At least it makes sense with the Winona Ryder because that's, Dracula's whole motivation in this version of the film. But for Anthony, it was just shoehorned in there. I hated that prologue so much. Like you were saying, it looked like a set, that red backlit battle scene that they had with him. It was clearly like puppets that he was fighting.
Yeah,
it was all, and his armor is one of the most comical things I've ever seen in a horror
Doesn't make
movie.
sense, does it?
None of this made sense. I actually could not get invested in this film in any scene, actually. I couldn't take any of it seriously. I was never frightened or intrigued by anything. I was laughing through most of it. It was so hard for me to watch this movie. I felt like I was having a drug trip, honestly. I didn't believe the movie was only 2 hours long. 30 minutes in, I checked, and it's like, oh, we're probably about an hour and a half in, only 30 minutes. I was having a fever dream watching this.
It's very strange, and but it follows it does follow the progression of the story. Jonathan Harker gets trapped there. Dracula starts shipping over soil so that he can bury it on his property in London so he can exist there and get his powers back. And then but when he gets there, he just immediately he goes after poor Lucy. And just this movie doesn't do a good job of saying why he goes after Lucy right away. There are like a really good version. My mom's favorite version is the 1970s one starring Sir Laurence Olivier, and I just forgot his name again. I was having this conversation with Sam 4 days ago, and I just forgot his name again. Chat, help me out. It's Frank Langella. Frank Langella. I got it. Frank Langella. The Frank Langella Dracula. It's a much more subtle movie, much more slow paced. But of course, you've got mega talents in that one too. I mean, a good cast for that time, comparable to the cast of this time. Sir Laurence Olivier playing Van Helsing in that one. As I said, Frank Langella playing Dracula in that one, and it's done classy. It's not. Listen, I like all the titties, but
it's jarring. All right, the Lucy titties make sense. I can get on board with the Lucy titties, and the vampire wives weren't apparently doing that stuff. Like, they were present in the book, but they didn't have this orgy scene with Harker and show their titties or anything like that in the book. It just felt gratuitous. With a lot of the nudity and with a lot of the violence. Like when he stabs the cross at the beginning and the entire room gets filled with blood.
That's my point.
It was unreasonable amounts of blood. I'm not against gore, violence, in movies or whatnot. When it's done in a way that doesn't make sense, it bothers me. A lot of Quentin Tarantino movies are gratuitous in the sense as well, where they just don't fit the scene. If you're going for accuracy, I'm all for as much violence and gore as you want to do. If it's a war movie, just like Hacksaw Ridge, I think the violence in that movie was done very well. Everything felt realistic. When you see a leg get blown off, a realistic amount of blood went everywhere, and it felt organic. None of the violence in this film felt organic to me. None of the gore, none of the blood. It just felt like, oh, it's a vampire movie. Let's get a few buckets full of blood. It's like it's just a stab wound. There's gonna be you need like 6 ounces of blood, not 5 gallons.
Yeah. So there's points in the movie that don't make sense. It doesn't make sense his going right after Lucy the way he does. Lucy, of course, smoking hot, but again, the portrayal of this Lucy in the one, I don't really like her portrayal of Lucy. There's something again off about it. And then of course the wooing of Mina, which if you take out the romance, would be proper creepy, but it's cringe,
especially because it's unclear if she's just being hypnoptized by him or she genuinely likes him,
or her soul from her previous life has come back to her. I mean, there's no proper progression, and here is my point. It was again the gratuitousness of it to have her come upon, I want to say, werewolf version of Dracula effing Lucy in the garden like that, which makes there's no proper lead up to that. It's just I arrive and I'm going to F Lucy and turn her into a vampire to get to Mina. But there's no setup. The setup isn't there as it has in other versions. And
this whole film felt rushed.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Now, I think here's the thing also. Sir Gary and Sir Anthony, these are two top tier actors, two of my favorite actors of all time. I can't think of something where I see Gary Oldman in it and I don't enjoy him. I like him in this movie, but the choice of his accent, something off in it. I mean, Gary Oldman, one of those actors that can literally transform himself for a role. I've seen him do it many times. You wouldn't know it. I've only seen clips. But when he transforms himself into Winston Churchill for a movie he did a few years ago, that's a true transformation. You wouldn't know that's Gary Oldman under all that. And of course,
he does a lot of great roles, like
Yeah.
Fifth Element. Comparing
Yeah.
Fifth Element to
Oh,
The
yeah.
Darkest Hour is that's range.
Yeah. Gary Oldman has range. And of course, Sir Anthony Hopkins is Sir Anthony Hopkins. He's just fantastic. And they saved this movie in a lot of ways for me. When every scene they're in, they own every scene. Even with the weird accent of Dracula, they own the scene. And the drollness of Van Helsing at times, just the dry wit is just great. Yes, you're going to stab her through the heart and chop off her head. It's like, what? Yes, it's going to be fine. Don't worry. It's okay.
He had some great deliveries like that. Like when he's like, "Oh, you'll give her all your blood? We might need you, lad."
Yeah, I know. It's great. And there are elements of the movie that, of course, I do like. I like the gathering of basically the Chads, all these dude bros who are in love with Lucy. And it's basically, you took her from us. We are now a gang of vengeance-ridden men with guns and knives. I like that. There's a certain, despite everything, there is a lot of masculinity in this movie. There's a lot. The movie does not shy away from masculinity. Every man, even Keanu, even though Keanu is cucked horribly because of the romance arc in this, John Harkis, he comes through as a man. He still is a man of action enough, you know. He is going to fight for this woman who has betrayed him on every level. And
it might be through possession, or he needed clarity on why she was making her decision.
There's the problem. Winona Ryder's Mina. It'd be one thing if she was seduced mystically by Dracula, and you can forgive her for that because he's using the whammies, putting the whammy on her. But now you tie into this reincarnated soul nonsense, and it takes away any sympathy I have for her as a character of being a victim. Because it doesn't turn her into a victim, it turns her into an accomplice. And I don't like that feeling where Mina is a victim in this. She's the victim of Dracula. John Harker is the victim of Dracula. I said Harkness a minute ago. I don't know why it's Harker. John Harker is the victim. Lucy is a victim. The men who loved Lucy are victims. And by making it this weird romance angle, it takes away the atrocity that Dracula is visiting upon these people in their lives. And here's the thing. You mentioned this movie's 2 hours. The scenes, while they drag on, the way it's compiled together, I feel like no time passes at all, even though months pass. Months pass in this movie. And they make it clear. I mean, I can't criticize. The movie makes it very clear with dates and times and moons, and they say weeks. It just still feels like it's all happening at once. It's a very weird concept. Did you feel that way too when you're watching?
Oh, I did. It was very jarring because, like you said, they're very good at showing the dates in the voiceover sequences, and the voyage of the Demeter had to get from Transylvania through the Mediterranean to England, and then a different ship went back, and they had to take the trains. Like, it's clear that months and months and months are passing, but it just feels like a few days with how rushed everything is.
Yeah.
How it just. Harker's escape. Do you remember Harker's escape? It's just
he flushed himself down the toilet.
It's just so weird, and it like happens in 2 seconds. There's just not a lot of clarity about what's going on, why people are doing things. So I feel like I'm missing a lot of the depth of this film. So I can't get in the heads of these characters. Like the one physician who's treating the insane asylum patients, he's just like, yeah, I'm high and I kind of like this chick. And ooh, I like Hell's. Like, I don't know anything about him.
Yeah,
he's so superficial. I want to get attached to these dude bros, like you're saying, you know, be pumped for them to go after Dracula and feel sad when one of them dies at the end. I just can't feel anything. Even Carrie Elwes, who I love as an actor, wasn't giving anything to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, his best scene is when he's screaming as he's putting the spike into Lucy's chest. He did a great job for those few moments because that is a tortured thing to have to do to your dead bride. But
well, they haven't even been married yet. They hadn't even gotten married. They were still just engaged. I mean, like you said, you had Carrie Elwes, and you just said the Dr. Jack Stewart. That's Richard E. Grant.
Who's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this cast is, you have these guys, they're all giving good performances, but what are you performing though? Because you spend so little time. You're just rushed through everything. So, like I said at the beginning, you bring up a great point. All these guys, these are great character actors, and they're just there almost.
They're tertiary.
Yeah.
And they should be central.
Yeah.
Even Harker, Keanu Reeves, I don't love.
He was a miscast. He was a miscast in this. Keanu Reeves was a miscast.
I don't love a lot of early Keanu movies. In the early '90s, I feel like he was just trying to hit his stride as an actor, and it wasn't really working. Bill and Ted, obviously, right up his alley.
Different.
Yeah. When he started to go serious, I think it took him a while to find his stride. Matrix is when he knew what he was doing. He figured out his rhythm. He found it, and he did a lot of great stuff after that.
Great point. I mean, we did on Devil's Old ranking show, Get Ranked, we did a Keanu episode, and I was on that one. And we said that same exact thing. Keanu had a period of time from 88 where he did Bill and Ted and Parenthood, when he was in those movies late 80s, and he get into the 90s. He hadn't figured out his acting style yet, and he tried a bunch of different stuff. It's when you get into the mid 90s, Point Break, and we realize he has a mode for action, and then he has a mode for drama. You could call me gay for this one. I like The Lake House.
I've heard good things about it.
It's with him and Sandy Bullock. It's it's a very touching, heartwarming movie. Got a little bit of a weird time travel aspect through the mailbox thing, but he's really good in that. He at that point, he's figured out how to be a dramatic actor without being dude. You know, he's figured that out. And when you get to the end of the 90s and the 2000s, Keanu has figured out how to be Keanu. And it works. And we like Keanu because also he is a good actor once he finds his stride.
And he's dedicated to his craft.
Yeah.
He puts in a lot of hard work.
And he treats the crews well on every film he works in. That's one thing that I do love about Keanu when he hit success, when he started making the movies that were critically acclaimed and found cult classic status and makes him a lot of sci-fi fantasy money. He treats the crews well, but he still makes stinkers. I mean, that samurai movie he made, 47 Samurai. Oh God, that was awful.
I did see that when 47 wrote it. That was
Ronin, yeah.
That was a wild movie. It had a good cast, but
I went in.
It was trying to be the last samurai with Tom Cruise. That's what it really wanted to be.
I went into that thinking I'm going to get a Keanu Reeves samurai action movie. This is going to be great. I'm like, what the fuck is this? That was like a Saturday night rental for me. It's like, I got nothing else to watch. Let's give it a go.
It's not worth it.
Good old when PlayStation Network used to rent movies back in the day. So that's when I watched that one. But yeah, so Keanu is a miscast in this.
Yeah, this era was not a good era for him. I don't know if you've seen Much Ado About Nothing, the Kenneth Branagh adaptation. He's not good in that.
Everybody else in that is great. Everybody else in that is great.
I love that movie, and that's one of my favorite Shakespeare plays, but he's just terrible in it. He's just focusing on saying the words right.
Yeah. That Keanu. That's a point of Keanu. Guess what? Don't do accents, Keanu. Don't do accents. I mean, at some point, we're gonna do Constantine. We're gonna watch Constantine. That's pure Keanu goodness. It's a totally inaccurate representation of Hellblazer, but it's a fun movie. So Keanu is a miscast. He is the only failure in terms of casting in this movie. Everybody else is great. Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins and Winona Ryder. She actually has experience in these kind of period stuff. Have you ever seen Age of Innocence with Daniel Day-Lewis and Michelle Pfeiffer? Oh,
I haven't seen many Winona movies.
Okay, that we're gonna have to do that one at some point because that is a beautiful period piece movie of a man of unrequited love and desire, but staying true to his honors of that. And it's Daniel Day-Lewis, dude. It's Daniel Day-Lewis. It's an outstanding movie. So we'll do that one. So Winona Ryder has had period piece experience at this point, and she does fine. And she's also there to be hot, so that works too. Point is, this movie is dragged down not because of the cast, but because of the production and to some extent the writing.
I don't think the writing was. We didn't need a scene where Dracula and Mina went to go see porn together.
Yeah, that was weird.
And then
that was weird.
Just cuddle up with a wolf. That whole scene is.
Where did the wolf come from?
I mean, they did say several times before that a wolf had escaped a zoo.
I know, but it's
why?
just there's something. There's execution purposes, the execution of these scenes and the way they push the story, and that's created purely for this fake romance thing that's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
Like a hot Dracula or refined Dracula, businessman type look. That's not in the book at all. He didn't look young and refined and go out on the streets and just meet Mina and act like an everyday person.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels that way. I didn't even need to be told which scenes were in the book and which ones weren't, because you could feel it. The difference was palpable.
Anything connected to the journal entries, scenes, that's from the book.
Absolutely.
That is from the book. Everything outside of that is not. Even, listen, I've seen a bunch of Dracula movies, and this one has a unique ending to it. That's a very unique and strange ending. Now, the chase is cool. I do like the chase. That's actually one of my favorite parts of the movies, where they're fighting the gypsies and dudes with knives and guns and fighting. It's great. But then the whole Mina and killing him, what the hell?
Does Harker know that Mina's rejecting the curse, or is that Dracula's influence is lessening on her?
And we know nothing about this. There's no, we are completely outside Jonathan Harker's mind at this point. We've moved so far beyond it. There's too many points of view going on here. How is he feeling? Is he still trying to save his wife, or is he now just out for vengeance? Because, and once again, because of this whole muddied reincarnated romance crap, we don't know we don't really know anybody's true feelings on any of this.
And we don't see the ending. It's not like, do we know they ride off into the sunset together? Is Mina cured and they're just going to live happily in a cottage in London? Do they get divorced? Do they just leave each other alone? How do they feel coming out of that? Is Mina's curse lifted?
Yeah, well, I mean, old school vampire rules. Because now this movie does do a few of the classic vampire rules. Soil, strength, stuff like that. I don't know the cross. They play with sunlight a little bit. In the version that the second was with Langella and Sir Larry. That one, the fight happens on the boat, and they beat him by pushing him into the sunlight while they're at sea. That's how that one ends. No, there's no Mina stabbing him through the heart and redeeming his soul so that he can go to wherever he's going and cutting his head. That's.
Well, did you see? It's hard to see, but the cross heals itself.
Yeah,
where he stabbed it.
Yep. There's no redemption for Dracula in traditional Dracula lore. He's a monster, Lord of Darkness. I mean, to go back to what I talked earlier, if you go into some of the Castlevania lore with that Dracula, he despises human beings, but found a temporary moment of solace when he found his wife and then had Alucard. And that softened him a bit, but then humanity kills his wife, and he decides to say, "Oh fuck, I'm going to destroy everything again." And so he's still a monster, massively. I mean, depending on which version, massively powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that Dracula has gobs of power compared to this one, but this is still a powerful monster, stronger than men, has whammy abilities, can transform, change shape.
Become fog or blue flame.
I mean, he could do that. That's traditional stuff. The gas, the fog, the transforming into a wolf, not man wolf to fuck a woman. But I mean, there's this movie had so much potential to be a definitive adaptation with the cast and what you would think is still a venerable, great director, but it just kind of falls apart to me. It had been a lot of years since I watched this. Okay, last time I saw this was easily maybe a little over a decade ago. It's the last time I really saw it. Maybe even longer than that. Been a long time, but I'd seen it many times. I was so unimpressed with this watching, and I realized, wow, I thought I was gonna. The parts I liked were still the parts I liked, but it the hollow feeling I had watching this as a young man, the tender age of young when it came out, because I wasn't even a teenager yet when it came out for the first time, and I saw it in theaters. Yes, I went to see it in theaters. My one of those things where my mom says, "Okay, we're gonna go see this R-rated movie," and you go, "Okay, fine." I'm like, "Yes," and of course, young me, it's like, "Wow, titties everywhere. This is great." But then something felt wrong in it then. And in the following years, you always watch it. Something always feels wrong. But now watching it for today, I watched it a few days ago. I didn't even wait till last night to watch it. I watched it a few days ago because I had the time. With the critical eye, I am more unimpressed by this movie than I ever was, and it kind of confirms this feeling of I there's just something that doesn't sit right with this movie for me as an adaptation of Dracula. And I'm left wanting because I'm not satisfied when I get the ending. It's not. It's not because of this stupid reincarnated romance crap. I mean, Jed, do you have anything else you want to throw in here? I mean, we've kind of pretty much talked about it to death. I feel like, have we? Anything else?
I don't have a whole lot to add. This movie didn't work for me on any level whatsoever. Anthony Hopkins' performance as Van Helsing is the one thing that I consistently liked. His dry humor worked for me. I guess that would be the one thing. I do correct that. But yeah, the version of Dracula, the weirdness, the appearance of him in a lot of scenes like that initial demented Pope look is what I saw.
It's a weird choice. It's a weird choice.
Met Harker.
Yeah.
And yeah, all the things from the book, I could see what they were trying to go for with the book stuff. I was not a fan of all the things that they did to go away from the book stuff. I found myself out of the story every time. The gratuitous nature of it just didn't work for me. And this is as someone who's a big proponent of add what mature elements to your story that makes sense for it. These elements didn't feel like they integrated well. So I didn't care about any of the other characters, even actors that I love. Their performances weren't doing it for me. So
Yeah.
I wasn't kidding when I felt like this movie was a fever dream for me. I couldn't believe that it was only 2 hours long. My body physically did not believe that. I thought it was at least 5 hours long. It wasn't an experience that I'm eager to replicate. I don't think I'll ever watch this movie again.
Me neither. This was my last chance to see if that objective movie making perspective I can apply to things that I've always felt I didn't really like. Can I find the objective goodness in this? And I can't really. The only standout in this for me are some of the performances. The only thing that saves this movie, the performances and the costume design. The costume design is good. And the music. The music is excellent. The soundtrack is excellent as well. That flows nicely. But they're the core problems of the reincarnated romance, the gratuitous nature of it, and some choices in how to behave, some choices in within the performances. Great performances, with some choices to be made, especially the cringe Mina and Dracula stuff. It's super cringe. The drinking of his blood off his chest. It's just, I don't need that.
I'm telling you, Adam, you need to watch the new Nosferatu because it's everything that you're asking this movie to be. It's fucking phenomenal. I've never seen the original, but that Nosferatu is the best version of a vampire I've ever seen. Just the unstoppable, monstrous force, irredeemable. It was a great film.
All right. Well, might as well end it. We got nothing else. Let's wrap it up. So it's my week. In our conversation, I've actually dropped my score during our conversation. I guess got to give this a 6 out of 10. I was going to go a little higher because I thought it was going to be better in my memory, but there are a lot of flaws in this movie, and even the good acting and great actors that are in this can't save it from itself.
Well, for me, I was thoroughly disappointed with this film. There wasn't anything that was drawing me in, making me enjoy it. Even the action set piece at the end, I was more distracted by the poor quality of the set, because I think the set designs throughout the majority of the film, besides the London street scenes, were shoddy at best. This is stuff that I was expecting from a Star Trek 1960s set. A lot of the background sets, the exterior shots, this isn't a big budget Hollywood movie, by its appearance. So I was very disappointed from that. The prosthetics and the special effects with Dracula, all his different forms were great. They were
Top
done
notch.
very well, and he was able to express a lot, even in the werewolf form. I don't know why he was a werewolf, but Gary Oldman was still able to express himself with all that makeup and prosthetics on. So the points that I'm going to give this are purely because I can see Gary Oldman doing a great job with what he was given. Anthony Hopkins doing a great job with what he's given. The practical effects, and like you said, the music never was obtuse or felt disconnected from the scene. It was fine. It didn't stand out as good necessarily to me, the score, but it wasn't bad at the same hand. So I have to give this a 4 out of 10.
That's fair. That's fair. And I mean, I've never really liked this movie. I mean, I thought it was an okay movie, maybe even good movie. Now, after this watching of it, I really don't like it in the end. I really don't. I mean, it's not a disaster, but it's just there's just something off for the whole thing. All right, Jed has told me what he has planned for me next week, and he got a brilliant reaction out of me when he told me. Go ahead, Jed. What you got for us next week?
Well, I decided it was time to continue the spooky season that we're in and time to watch a film that's been recommended to me a lot over the years. Many people are shocked that I haven't seen it before because it's right up my alley by all accounts. And after hearing Adam's reaction to it when I mentioned it to him in the green room today, I had to pick it just as revenge for Dracula. So he's going to get returned in kind by watching Event Horizon.
I saw this once in the theaters. I didn't know what I was walking into. Fuck this movie and what it does to your brain.
Wouldn't it be funny if you turned out liking it? Like Dracula, you're like, hey, it's gonna be okay.
No,
hated it.
No.
I hate Event Horizon.
No. I remember Event Horizon very clearly. The one time that movie is tattooed on my brain. That is not a kind of movie I like. I thought I was going into a sci-fi thriller spaceship movie. Instead, it's a nightmare horror movie where some say it's connected to Warhammer 40K, but we'll have that discussion later. All right. So thank you, everybody, for joining us for another drive-in. We appreciate you being here. Hit those like buttons, subscribe to the channels, and we'll see you next week. Until then, take it easy.